Hi, welcome to episode 29 of Kim's Art Show. We are working in pastel, and I have soft pastels from Sennelier and soft pastels from NuPastel that are harder. It's still all in soft pastels. I realize we've been working in pastel and I haven't talked about there are different kinds of pastels. There's oil pastels, there are soft pastels. And then there are like these chalk pieces of frustration that are sold at like Staples and Michael's, and they're particularly just like chalkboard chalk. They do not have the strength or intense pigment that these artist pastels do. We can take a second just to kind of look at those colors. Right, these are very saturated sticks of pigment with a small binder or even just water. They are not cheap because of that. But you work together paintings pretty quickly, and they're one of my favorites. Usually if a pastelist collects pastels, like you'd want a collection of soft ones and ones that are a little bit harder because they each have different purposes. Oil pastels were originally made by Sennelier for, I think, Picasso, and they are like doing an oil painting but with a hard stick of butter. These are not like that. These are dusty and beautifully pigmented, kind of chalk adjacent, but not chalk sticks. So we're doing another road. Last time I did a road with a little barn in the snow. This is probably fall, and it's artificially lit by some streetlights. And probably my headlights in the car, but I like the color notes here. It's kind of like, let's say if it's September, it might be like 6:30, 7 o'clock at night. Whereas now, of course, in the winter at 7 o'clock at night, it's already been dark, dark, dark for hours, but we're on the other side, as today is Valentine's Day. So before you know it, it'll be spring. All right. Again on this dark green sanded paper pastel card, and again a lighter pastel pencil. This isn't square, and I don't think I want it to be square, so I'm kind of suggesting it as this horizontal. And as always, my favorite part is claiming the big shapes. I start with where's my horizon? It's not in the center, it's a little bit lower than the center. And so I'm suggesting that. There's like this funky area of interest where there is a light source from a street light. So I'm kind of keeping that in mind. Let's see, there are some trees, 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 trees. So all of that is dark trees. There is like some probably dead grass, but it looks like beautiful yellow. It's kind of fun when you're painting. It's like you don't identify that as just yellow grass, like those are dead grasses. It's just a shape that is yellow. Okay. So I am a landscape painter. It's like my favorite thing to paint. That doesn't mean I don't paint other things. And for those of you who've watched other episodes, you'll know, like my eldest is in college now and a freshman, and she's not so far, but God, it feels like, she could be in another continent because she's not under my roof. And I have started looking through old photos of my family when my kids were little and painting them. And I think when the kids were little, I was so frazzled and tired and concentrating on being a good mom that the idea of painting them was too much brain space. But now that they're teens and one isn't around as much, I've had this beautiful nostalgia of painting them. And we'll see. Maybe in future episodes, I'll either show what I've done or work on that. I even brought in a reference of one of them at the beach when they were little, how mortifying for them, but also kind of wonderful for me to be able to paint. I think there's something nice, like in the dead of winter, I can paint something back from the fall and I can transport myself. So, all of that for this. That's the drawing. The important things are like a little map for me. Yeah, I should probably take the dark pastel pencil and say, like, this is all dark. So just I know. So top to bottom, covering the canvas, the paper, the surface. And again, I get to fill it with a decent color of the blue sky. What is that going to be? I think it's going to be like that. So I'm recording on a different day today because we're having a class here at the studio, and new people working on the camera, and you know, that kind of energy is wonderful. But there's something great too about this studio being available, meeting new people through, you know, taking a risk, learning new things. It's quite an asset here, and I'm glad that folks are taking advantage. Okay, next big shape. And like I know that there's a pole here. I might not put it in, I might. But the glories again of opaque medium is I can cover over it. We talk about when I teach, like sometimes they're like, can I just paint the whole sky in and then paint things over that? And I say all the time, like, try to paint it all concurrently, otherwise it can feel a little disjointed. So while I can go over it, I want to kind of plan for, like, there's a little, like this is a turtle crossing sign. It'll just be a cute little yellow traffic kind of sign. And that's the reverse side, so it's going to be like that gray silvery color. And I am just kind of giving space for it, should I choose to put it in. Because when painted concurrently, it tends to feel a little bit more painterly connected than if I just put it on top. But you'll see, like in the prior episode, I decided not to put a house in, and the medium is still forgiving enough that you can cover that right up. All right, so we're getting there. I don't know, with perspective, I want to make that angle. So I stressed that, and I'm gonna probably darken and warm up over here a little bit more, but I do really like this color. It's kind of like a purpley blue. Next, let's figure out what this road is, because I don't really know. In the soft pastels, I think it's this color. And what's funny though is, like, it's, when I look at it, it's a beigey toward green. On the green paper, it's kind of hard to tell. Like, it almost looks, I don't know, more mustardy. But as I cover it all up, that'll change. And remember how I said I try to put them at an angle so I know I've used that. All right, so if that's going to be that, I think I'm going to put a coating of it that's more gray. And so I look down. Is there one that's more gray? Maybe it's this. Yeah, do you see that little change? And I'm flattening out the road, right? So it's sometimes when I draw, I might, you know, do it that directionally, but it's still flat. And so kind of fixing it that way as I bear down. Okay, Next, the yellow grasses. Yellow is so hard. Even in paint with mixing, yellow is hard. How do you lighten it? How do you make it look darker? Often, if you have a yellow paint and you add black to it to darken it, it turns green. So let's see. I have this color, which is very intense warm, but I do like it. And it might be the right color over here. And it kind of is part of the softening edge of here. So see how I can kind of just start to suggest it? I talked about there's a street light casting some beautiful warm notes back there. And so I'm just going to give that suggestion. All of it can be blended and softened, and with the brush, I can even kind of erase. Okay, there's something so pretty about this blue color with these orangey warms. It's a beautiful contrast, and they are opposites, blue and orange. It's kind of a nicely activated space. All right. I can't help it. I want so much to get in this like crazy yellow of the street lines. Like those don't go in yet, right? When I talk about, that's the decorating. But I'm just making those marks kind of because it makes me giddy, and just so that I have that in mind when I try to figure out those yellows of the grass. Let's try this one. Yellow's hard. And I want to paint all of those grass without drawing each blade. And what's funny is I like the detail. I like illustration. But this is not that. So the challenge is always, how do I say that this is like grasses, right, without drawing each blade? Sometimes you just keep making that mark until it all blends together. I'm working on an oil painting in my studio right now that is all kinds of really tall grasses with dandelion heads that have gone to seed, you know, the little like wish flower. And I just keep painting the grass until it's all of a sudden, oh wow, you can't even tell that there are blades, it's just all grass. There would be an easier way to do it, but I like painting it that way. Oh, my easel just started to give way, so I tightened that up. So something else is, I'm gonna put this back and then I'm gonna put it at the little angle, and I'm going to get another yellow because I'm noticing that the yellow shifts in space. It gets a little bit like more dried and light back here. And you'll see, like drawing wise, you really can't see in the back like each blade, but in the front you can. Let's try this one. So I'm working on like a bunch of different yellows, but I like what's happening. Let's spend a little more time over here. It's funny how I'm a righty, and a lot of the things tend to slant righty. The left side can get a little neglected, and I'm like, get over there. All right, we do have a nice sense of depth. I'm gonna put that guy back. So over here, how am I gonna address that? It's kind of a very warm note that, let's see, it's kind of like it hits the shrubby brush over here. then it hits the road. And then there's a pole over here that it hits too. All right, I think it's good. I'm gonna give it a little over here, right? So see how it's just a fine touch. Okay, I think it's time to spend a little bit more time in the sky and the trees. I've been using a lot of the NuPastel. It just seems to have the color and the edge that I want. All right, I love painting the night. It really makes me happy. Having this show, like I have this little file of photos on my iPad with all these different things. And you know, like I think I've said before, it's kind of embarrassing the amount of photos that I have on my phone. But everything looks like a painting, you know, and like I was saying, my kids are teens and I've been collecting photos of them, like, God, you know, and I'm so biased that when they were little, I felt like every single thing that they were doing looked like it could have been a painting. But the show is making me kind of go through them and be like, I've wanted to paint that forever. I'm just gonna try it. It's kind of cool. Okay, so played with that. Now I want to play with some of the color within the darks. So these are different sides. I want to kind of convey that. And right now it's just a very dark blue purple. So I'm going to try to find a dark green and see if I can suggest some of those greens. And this is closer than back here, and so these are going to be like warmer, different. And so I am kind of playing with those colors, right? And the negative space between these grasses. And this is kind of too that I'm feeling limited by this hardness of pastel. So I'm going to look over into my softer set. I can make it work. I mean, that's kind of fun. I can make almost anything work. But I want to say the most I can with the fewest marks. And this pastel might be the way for me to do that. Okay. Okay, so I keep reserving the turtle crossing. I think I'm just going to get that in because I think it's important that it's there. Kind of reminds me of Edward Hopper, that he would have these beautiful landscapes and then there'd be telephone poles in them or whatever, but it's just like that human connection. I don't think that that color was correct. And see how, you know, it's like I want to paint it, not like draw it, but it's kind of gangly looking, but it's easily fixed with the negative space around it. All right. Okay. And please don't say like, oh, it should be lower or higher. That's not what this is about. Right? It's, we get it. It's just a suggestion, a note, an idea. And we know I've taken liberties. All right. Okay. All right, let's get in some more darks over here. look, I got my board. I think pastel more than the mediums with a brush. You can really see your the mark you make, the hand, right? Like I said, I was going through some prior shows, and I was kind of really interested because, you know, some things you just do by habit or intuition, and there are marks that I make that, you know, like if I were to color something in, it's kind of like doot, 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 dot, 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 dot. And I liked seeing those habits that I have and analyzing, like, do those habits serve me or are they just habits? And I came to the conclusion that I liked those things that I did. So I'm darkening some. And now these subsequent layers, I'm bearing down a little more because I'm deciding those are them, that's it. And at this kind of level, then it might be that the marks that I'm making are the final marks. And do you remember how, like when I started, like the surface was smaller, but it just kind of kept growing? You know, that's all good. And you might see that this color is a little bit more of like a greeny sky than this purpley sky, but I'm hard pressed to change that because I really like that color. All right, let's see. I think I'm going to take my pencil because we know I have a little bit more confidence in mark sometimes with my pencil, and I am going to reclaim just some of the shapes. And there's something fun, abstract to me about the marks that I make with the pencil. You know, like every time I use the pencil, I say, oh, this is my favorite part. I kind of made myself sound like a doofus, but that's in my head, my favorite part. So, but like, see, that I think it's the shift. With the pastel sticks, I make a very certain mark, and look how different the mark is with the pencil. I like that, right? And then some of the like casual marks and dots, all of those matter. Okay, so and in doing so, it kind of just gives parameters and edges to the shape that I like. Okay, so let's start to think about what else does it need to be a better painting. And with the control that I have, I am putting in some telephone poles, utility poles, I don't even know, what do we call them now? This one has the street light, and I'm gonna have to get that in because I've accounted for the light of it. Let's see, there's another pole down here. I'm just going to suggest it. And let's see, it kind of goes like that. See, you don't even, it's suggestion. This one goes to this, goes to this, goes to this, goes. And there's another one over here. I don't know that I'm going to put that one in. I'm going to pretend that the pole that matters is over here maybe. Let's see, there is the, I think I'm going to make that bigger. And the drawing, right? That's the struggle, like how real. Eh. It's not quite right. I want it more diamond. That's pretty good. Do I kind of blob in it, like some info? Yeah, why not? Okay, let's get in the light here. What color is that? So, you know, if you go look at Van Gogh's Starry, Starry Night painting, you'll see that the stars and the moon aren't like he took white and went plop, or took yellow, right? It's like there's a light color, and in some instances it's like a seafoam green, and they are surrounded by yellows and then oranges, or, so if I am trying to get in that light, I have to really kind of look at it, and the camera and the printout never really gives it the right justice. So I don't know, I'm trying this. So it's over here. And it sheds light like that. And I'm cleaning it, and it casts a little bit of light on the ground. Right? So see how we kind of have a sense of that. I might also, with my NuPastels, if I can find a color, like kind of lighten it in the middle. Pretty cool. In the back, there's a little bit of, like, maybe I do get in the, this is the turtle crossing from the other side. Right. And then in the back, there's some like reflected poles. See how those little marks, we don't know what they are, but they give the illusion of stuff even further back. Let's see, this pole. That's good. Let's see, I'm gonna lighten that. And there are some detail in the trees. So this happens when I'm excited about something. I get nervous about the next marks because I don't want to wreck something that I've done. It's kind of funny. It's kind of exciting. What do I want to details in the trees? Okay, I think, let's see. This is a very dark gray. You see how dark that is? But I don't think it's as dark as the blues. It's also warmer than the blues, so it should come forward. And there's like, yeah, it's just suggested. That is like the bulk of the tree, and there's a limb this way and a limb that way and another limb. So that's this thing that I had said a long time ago about if I'm judging a show, I walk in and from a distance I see all the great works. Certain pieces demand attention, and I'll go see them up close. Sometimes they let you down, and sometimes they reveal new things. And so those little differences are those reveal new things. I'm going to give a little bit more attention to that line. We have quite a story of yellows in this piece. All right. This was one of the pieces that I thought I would work on today. I am so glad that I did, because it's been fun. I hope it's been fun watching. I try. Hey, look at the depth. So next time you're driving home, maybe you'll look differently at what you're seeing. This one's going to be fun in my studio for me to think, like, what else does it need? Because I sure captured a lot in this half hour. And thanks so much for tuning in.